Today, we're talking about the key differences between bringing a civil sexual assault claim and the prosecution of a sexual assault in the criminal context. There are three key differences that you should be aware of. I'm going to talk about them in the video. I'm Natalie Gerry, the principal lawyer and owner of Gerry Law. I help injured people get the compensation that they deserve for their injuries. Let's get into this topic. The first key difference to be aware of between a civil and a criminal proceeding is in who brings the proceeding. In the civil context, it is the plaintiff who institutes the proceeding and who starts the claim. The plaintiff is making a claim against the defendant, and this is more of a private matter where they are seeking damages from the defendant or defendants, and they are asking for financial compensation for the losses that they have sustained, for pain and suffering, for loss of income potentially, for care costs like therapy, that kind of thing. In the case of a criminal proceeding, it is the Crown who is bringing the proceeding against the accused. And this is more of a public law domain where they are seeking to enforce the laws of Canada against the accused because it has broken a criminal law. This is a difference between the proceeding. One is more of a private matter and one is more of a public matter. In the case of a criminal proceeding, if the police and the Crown even become aware of a sexual assault, it is not the victim or the survivor who brings that claim against the accused. It is the Crown. So even if the survivor said they didn't want to bring the claim, it would not be up to them because it is up to the Crown to bring that proceeding against the accused if the Crown thinks there is a reasonable prospect of a conviction. The criminal proceeding and the civil proceeding are in different courts. The criminal is obviously in the criminal court, whereas the civil is in the superior court with the civil matters. These are two separate types of actions, two separate types of proceedings, but they can go on at the same time or one after the other. Either way works. The next difference between the civil and the criminal proceeding to be aware of is the difference in the burden of proof. In a civil matter, the burden of proof, so what the plaintiff has to prove, the level to which they have to prove their claim, is a balance of probabilities. It's a 50% plus one chance that what the plaintiff is saying happened. In the criminal context, though, the burden of proof is much higher. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. And this can be justified because of the serious consequences for the criminal conviction, where someone can lose their liberty and go to jail. The state, or in Canada's case, the Crown, has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that that the crime was committed. The third main difference between a civil proceeding and a criminal proceeding is the outcome and the objectives of the proceeding. With a civil proceeding, the outcome and objectives of the civil proceeding, if it proceeds to trial, can only be a financial judgment, so a monetary judgment. That's what the court can award. They have the jurisdiction to award financial compensation, and that's pretty much it for the civil side. They can award financial compensation. If there is a settlement, then other more flexible options could be incorporated, such as an apology, that kind of thing. But for the most part, in a civil action, what the plaintiff is seeking is financial redress for what happened to them. In the criminal proceeding, obviously, we all know that people can go to jail if they are found guilty of the crime. So this is a completely different proceeding in that the outcome is jail time or a punishment because the accused has transgressed, broken laws that society has an interest in keeping because it keeps an orderly society and to have these laws not be broken. So in that sense, it is quite different. And the outcome for the survivor of the sexual assault in the criminal proceeding could be vindication, but they don't really get anything, not necessarily an apology or anything like that. It's not even really a settlement with the survivor themselves. It is a settlement, if there is a settlement, it is between the Crown and the accused. It is important to note that survivors of sexual assault can pursue, in addition to the criminal charges or instead of the criminal charges, can pursue a civil remedy. This is something that is case dependent and really needs to be assessed on an individualistic basis. It is important to get legal advice on your particular circumstances. I have another video that goes through the types of damages that can be claimed by a survivor of sexual assault in a lawsuit, and that video will be linked below.